everyone, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk on this very pink edition. This is Wednesday. We got a great stories, a great number of stories, including the fact that The Purge has a very interesting hat. Jungle Cruise gains a very interesting cast member, and of course, Kevin Feige is going to talk about the Disney Fox deal. Joining me today, you talk about a collection of human beings. John Rocha's here.
Ooh-wee! What's up with that? What's up with that? Yeah, we're talking movies this morning. Let's do this. Let's do this.
All right. Well, that's very that was downright Scott Mansian in your positivity level. Thank you for bringing that to
It was
the
way too rehearsed. Rocha, do it again.
All right.
Just be a little.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Then,
do I do the what's up with that? What's up with that?
That's
No?
worse.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. I'm sorry I asked him for him to do
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
don't
kind
know.
of took us further down this rabbit hole. Jon Schnepp is here.
Yes.
How's
Good.
that
I
one?
like that.
Boy, did you gentlemen put a whole lot of pressure on Perri Nemiroff.
I'm just going to sit and not move so that I don't do another GIF-worthy thing this morning.
All right, so Perri Nemiroff is just attempting to not be GIFed at all for the next 45 minutes. You guys all got to participate in something last night that I did not have the pleasure of doing. Thank you to all the Collider Movie Talk and Schmoes fans I saw in the crowd at Doug Loves Movies last night. Had a great time competing with people, including Sam Levine, but I missed out because I was there on the Black Panther screening that all you all got to attend. You're not allowed to give like your reactions or your review or anything,
Right.
but can you smile a certain way to indicate how you felt about the movie?
Yeah.
Pretty good emoji.
You know what's funny though is like they gave us that like don't say anything. All you could say is you saw it, and it's like what about all those people the night before at the premiere who literally gave reviews online? You know, I heard someone ask one of the Disney reps that, and all of us were like, don't ask such a stupid question. But yeah, by the way, since he's asking it, you know, so I thought it was fantastic. It's great. I saw it. I also think the performances are incredible. The message is on point. It's a very important film, not just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in the cinematic universe and on our planet in general. Ooh. It makes a lot of points that I didn't think it would go there, and I'm glad it went there in a way that was so entertaining and fresh and new and right.
All right, that was a damn near full review.
No, I
Perri.
didn't mention anything about it.
Okay, no, it was good. I mean, I don't feel like I got spoiled or anything, and I obviously would not think Perri Nemiroff would do that.
No, absolutely not. I'll stick to the points I made in my tweet, and I'll give shout-outs to Letitia Wright. Oh, whoa. Yeah, Shuri's probably... I want to say she's probably one of my favorite new MCU characters since The Guardians.
Totally.
I really loved what she is just so electric on screen. And I'll echo what Schnepp said. And I think that's what surprised me about the movie most was how powerful it was, not just within the MCU, but with the messages I left with. I mean, I wrote in my tweet, I left hopeful and with a full heart, and that's probably the best way to describe how I feel about the movie overall.
Rocha, we're hearing a lot of good things from a lot of different people, both the premiere and the screening last night.
Yeah.
Your take.
Incredible. And I'll also say the world is rich. That's what it is. Ryan Coogler has done an incredible job constructing this incredibly rich world of characters that are fun and interesting and whose motivations you understand, and they have joy in this world. And because they enjoy living in this world, you as a moviegoer, as a watcher, go right into that and take on that joy yourself. And what Perri said when we got in the car when we left, she said, I've never left a Marvel movie with this big of a smile on my face. And that's really incredible to hear. And for me, also the way they tackle a lot of the social, political stuff with no fear was incredible to watch in a Marvel movie, a superhero movie. So I can't recommend it enough. I don't know if it's going to change your life, but it's certainly going to be an enjoyable time in the theater, and you will walk out going, I want more. I want to stay in this world, and I want to come back to Wakanda as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like even in just the 2 days I've seen reactions, it has changed a lot of people's lives, and I think it will continue to do so. Hopefully, with me, when I get to see the movie, which is Monday, I get to see it Monday, which is still, I know we're all very lucky here because the movie comes out in a couple weeks. Stay tuned for that. It is the latest movie in the MCU. Speaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige made some comments that are very interesting. Are they truthful? We'll talk about it. He's talking about the Disney Fox deal. If you're wondering how long it's going to take to see the fallout and or the benefits from the Disney Fox deal once it hits the MCU, don't expect anything just yet. Not until after 2019, and this is according to Kevin Feige, who is the boss over at Marvel Studios. During the Black Panther press day, Feige told Vulture that the plan so far is to stick with the announced lineup for the time being. He said that he was unaware of the deal and read about the Disney-Fox merger in the papers, just like everyone else. He said the truth of the matter is I understand it is the deal that has to be figured out. There's been no communication. We're not thinking about it. We're focusing on everything we've already announced. If and when the deal actually happens, we'll start to think more about it. Until then, we have a lot to do. It would be years away. We've announced everything through 2019, so none of those would be adjusted. Well, Jon Schnepp, 2019 is the target date because in a deal this size, it does have to go through certain channels, one of which is government approval, and then you do have a 18-month period that is going to see everything take shape, and that's what we have to get over before we can start possibly seeing any characters from a Fox production incorporated into the MCU, which we all have speculated could happen maybe not soon, but pretty soon after 2019. Do you take Feige at his word, or do you think that he might know a little more than he's letting on?
I have a horrible poker face. I was just trying to be like, I completely believe Feige. Well, look at it this way. What year are we in right now? It's 2018. Years go by really quick. Oh my God, we're 2019. They've already been shooting Avengers 4. They're shooting Captain Marvel. They're shooting everything that is coming out in 2019. So it's not like we're going to wait, or we, as when I say Disney, Marvel is going to wait to start a production on 2020, 2021, and 2022 films. They're already in production right now. We know that James Gunn is writing or has finished his script for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We know Spider-Man 2 is already, it's going to be getting shot, but that's also coming out 2019. That's supposed to kick off Phase 4, whatever it's going to be. So 2 films from that Phase 4 are already, been announced and are in production. X-Men, Fantastic Four, we don't know when those are coming. A wild guess would push me to think that probably Fantastic Four would be the first one out of the gate 2020, and X-Men would be 2021 or 2022. Peyton Reed had developed a Fantastic Four film. I think he would be a perfect choice if he's still interested in that property, which I know he is because he's a giant sweaty. So it's like, it's one of those things that they can't announce it. You're right. Just like Spider-Man, I think they keep their cards close to the chest. They're like, here's our universe with Fantastic Four and X-Men. Here's our universe without. They have so many characters. They don't need X-Men or Fantastic Four as icing on the cake. So I feel like as they move forward, everything's being developed. They probably are even going to cast and get directors set up. They'll probably even get production design and artwork done starting now. So why would they announce it right now? Because the deal's not done. If it falls through, they don't want to be like, we publicly told you we wasted all our time developing these things that you're never going to see. So like any businessman, he's incredibly smart. But I think, they're in development. They just can't announce it. So we have to wait probably until San Diego Comic-Con for some kind of a loose announcement about Phase 4.
I wouldn't think we would get any... a loose announcement about Phase 4 is one thing. If you factor in X-Men, I think that is completely out of the realm of possibility. I do take him at his word when he says the whole through 2019 thing, because that makes a lot of sense to me. Whether or not I believe him about being completely in the dark, and especially when I read that quote where it's like, oh, it's above my pay grade, I'm like, really? You're running one of the most profitable arms of that company. I would be surprised.
I think he's talking about the Illuminati, the creatures. Like, who else gets paid more than, like, there's like, I'm above, I have an office on the moon.
That's kind of how I immediately pictured it. But this does make sense, and we see Fox doing something similar where they're still setting up deals and they're still announcing new movies because... really, what they have to be doing right now in case this deal falls through is make sure that they're still left standing and with a solid slate in the palm of their hand should this not happen. So to me, it makes sense that he's going to focus on it through 2019, and then right when this deal actually happens, the only other thing that I have in the back of my mind is it does make sense for him to at least be considering the possibility, because we know how far in advance they map out these cinematic universes. So I would imagine that he's got, because didn't they do that with Spider-Man 2 where they had a non-Spider-Man path and a Spider-Man path? So maybe that's what's going on behind closed doors, but one way or the other, smart move for these to be the quotes that he gave out.
Yeah, it's very political in how he says it, because he makes you feel like he's one of you guys. Hey, I found out like you did. Like, I'm just like you, and I put my pants on one leg at a time, and this kind of thing, which I really think that's Feige's gift.
Mr. Feige's my dad. Call me Kev.
Yes, exactly. And Feige's great at that. Feige makes you feel like he's a sweaty and a nerdy guy just like you are, even though he's incredibly intelligent, and obviously his foresight and forethought is way out there. And so it's not surprising. And Perri, you bring up a great point. He had planned for Spider-Man being in Civil War and not being in Civil War. So that's smart. That's what a smart businessman does. And that's why I think it's been so successful under his watch. He understands the business, and he understands the dedication and love to these characters and to the worlds that are in Marvel. So I'm sure as soon as this deal was even as soon as someone mentioned it as a rumor in the offices, Feige had people on board already figuring out how could we make it work, because it's already planned out through Avengers 4, and that makes sense. What fun way to introduce Fantastic Four than in Avengers 4? So it would make sense to have some kind of allusion to it, or maybe a post-credit sequence where you see the Fantastic Four. That's a smart move. Then you launch it, and I hope to God Marvel just backs 5 million dump trucks back full of money and says, "Don't leave," because that's what scares me the most. Feige is so great at this that if he leaves, you know what happened when Gibbs left. It's just not the same when your great head coach leaves and the new coach comes in, Richie Pettibone, who can't quite run the team the way he used to, and you don't get back to the Super Bowl for 30 years and counting. So these are the things that I worry about if he moves on. So I want him to stay and go forward. And so and he's just so smart. So it's no shock to me. There's probably 10 whiteboards where they're mapping out where everything can happen.
But they've already said that. Before the Fox-Disney merger was ever announced, Feige had already said, we've got our next 20. We've got our next 20 films.
Yeah, there you go.
He hinted at it. So it's not you have to think about it they've had Phase 4 for probably a year.
Yeah.
Or
at
more.
Least.
At least. They're they probably got 5 and 6. They're we're set till 2050, but we can't talk about that. So, when these kinds of mergers and deals happen, they have to start to make those alternate routes, those variant plans. So here's Phase 4 with, here's Phase 4 without. So that's
and I don't want to rush it either. I like 2019, 2020. Let's not rush. Finish it out, then take the time, plan out, because that was a problem with Fantastic Four the first 2 times. They rushed it out, thought they had the right product, and it was crap. And so take some time, and if you're going to recast the X-Men, you really got to take time with that. And are you going to do an origin story or just pick up again like they were Spider-Man Homecoming? No Uncle Ben, no real origin story, just jump right into it. So they got to make all those decisions. Take your time.
Yeah, we got spoiled when we saw Civil War because Spider-Man was in that movie so quickly after that deal got signed. But like Perri pointed out, they had a plan to get Spider-Man in there. This is a very different situation. With the Spider-Man thing, Kevin Feige said, hey, we need to get this character from Sony if it's at all possible. So let's work on a plan that incorporates that, but then also have a backup plan in case we aren't able to utilize Spider-Man. This is something that I believe the deal started above his pay grade because Disney wanted to acquire Fox for a ton of different reasons, not the least of which might be incorporating characters into the MCU, but I don't think that was at the front of the list either. That's not on the first page of why they wanted Fox. It's just that Disney's a huge company and they want to acquire somebody who might be competition and instead work with them. Now, as it pertains to this particular deal, Schnepp, do you think that it's going to be incumbent upon the MCU to incorporate Fox characters like the X-Men simply because the fans like us are going to have been talking about it for so long that it would just seem disappointing if we didn't get that?
Well, I mean, yeah, they will do it. It just when. I mean, we have X-Men Dark Phoenix coming out this year, of Deadpool. New Mutants got punted into next year, which is annoying. But look, we're still getting New Mutants in 2019 when this deal is still probably being, people are like, the ink hasn't dried. They're still figuring things out. I think we'll get an announcement before 2019. I feel like, you know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any knowledge about the legal dealings with this kind of stuff. But I feel like by the time San Diego comes around, Marvel's going to want to be setting a lot of stuff up like they've done in all their previous kind of amazing previews. We'll see a few trailers from films that are coming out later in 2019, and we'll see something will happen. I don't know. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe it'll be H27 or whatever their weird thing that they do. Yeah, I think, look, Disney buying Fox is way bigger than X-Men and Fantastic Four. It's Disney starting their streaming service. Disney needs those movies. Disney needs those television series in order for them to adequately compete with the 3 other giants. So it's like, you know, they're going to become the UPN of the digital streaming world. You know, that's their goal, and they're going to do that and probably surpass it. So they need that content. Whether or not they incorporate X-Men or Fantastic Four in 2020, 2021, 2022, it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to hear Ryan Coogler's comments about working with Kevin Feige, because he was quoted recently as saying that he went into this Black Panther project thinking, well, you know, there's going to be my Disney corporate overlords and a lot of people are going to be looking over my shoulder. And he said, then he sat down with Feige, and Marvel Studios in Coogler's eyes, it's just Kevin Feige and a couple of his buddies running a studio. And they just happen to be making multi-billion-dollar motion pictures. So in that vein, Perri, it seems like Kevin Feige would be sticking around for a long time unless you see any indication that he would want to leave. I think that this might be his greatest achievement yet if he's able to successfully merge all of these comic book worlds into one universe.
If they do that, and I do think, to answer your other question before, that there is no possible scenario where this deal happens and they don't incorporate the X-Men. And I understand it's a difficult territory to play in to do something like that right, especially when we had a recent release like Logan that's so beloved and now Academy Award nominated, when we've had so many other X-Men characters that we've grown to love with certain actors in those roles. But given what they accomplished with Spider-Man, I have all the faith in the world, and I have all the faith in the world in Kevin Feige, which is why I had somehow mentally blocked out those rumors that after Phase 3 that could be the end of him, and then you brought it up and it all came flooding back to me, and then I started to think, really, can you think of a single, studio franchise head, someone leading a cinematic universe that has accomplished what Kevin Feige has and done it so consistently? Because when you say that quote about Ryan Coogler, I think that's one thing Kevin Feige is embracing that I haven't really gotten the sense that other studios are embracing, which is letting a really great filmmaker make the movie they want to make. Because that's why we have things like now Black Panther, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like a Taika Waititi directed Thor Ragnarok. You don't come out with a movie with such a strong tone like that stands out from all the other movies that came before it if you have corporate overlords pulling the strings on these directors and putting them in certain boxes. And I don't ever want that to go away. And I would think that if Kevin Feige decided enough is enough, I put in my time, it's time for me to go, I would think he would entrust that power to somebody else who he believes in, but I just don't want to see that happen.
Well, in historical perspective, Theodore Roosevelt gave the presidency to Taft thinking he was going to be just fine, ended up being one of the most corrupt administrations in the world. So with just whoever he knows.
I thought you were going deep with the Joe Gibbs reference, but no, wow.
Learn some history, kids. But this is, I think this is also what scares me about the whole situation is, oh, no, it was why I pushed back with the whole situation. Because people sometimes criticize them, they all seem like the same kind of movies. They're really deceptively not. And I think what you said about Kevin Feige and his buddies and all that, that's exactly right. There are certain things you have to kind of fit in, but other than that, you have free reign to create the film. As long as you make the connections you need to make, find the humor within it because people want to enjoy the film and still have serious stuff going on. If that's what your complaint about Marvel movies is, it's real nitpicky and you're forcing that complaint there. You can find that if you want to, but in reality, these films are distinct. They stand on their own. Are some of the patterns the same? Sure, but you could do that for any series. So that's not the problem. To me, that is what makes the films work. Ragnarok, what we see with Black Panther, going back to 2008, Iron Man. Nothing from Iron Man feels similar to what you see now. And that's what's great about all the Guardians of the Galaxy is its own separate thing.
I would compare Feige to Disney. Like Disney ran his studio and
Walt Disney.
Actually Walt Disney, which is now being, funny enough, run, Disney runs Marvel Studios, the company that absorbed Marvel Studios. I mean, because you have someone who has an overall plan and then they're giving it to different creatives to execute those plans. So I think, I think it's a smart move. Hopefully, I don't know what Feige's going to go do, golf. I mean, it's like, come on, you got to stick around and do these next 20 movies.
It's a very interesting thing when you have people who are in a certain position of power, whether it's Bob Iger or Kevin Feige or anybody in any industry, because there's two types of those personalities where one type just keeps wanting to work and keep acquiring more and more and more and more. Then there's somebody else who's like, I could go lay on a beach for the rest of my life. I think y'all know which one I am. Thanks for the Joe Gibbs reference, by the way. And it's been 30 years of darkness, but don't worry, we got Alex Smith.
Well, Joe Gibbs, is that one of the Bee Gees? I don't know who's this Joe Gibbs.
He was the third Gibb brother. He's Redskins trying to stay alive. Jungle Cruise is our next topic, and that is because The Rock is now teaming up with Emily Blunt in the new, speaking of Disney production, this is according to Variety that Emily Blunt is set to star alongside Dwayne Johnson in Disney's Jungle Cruise live-action movie. Jaume Collet-Serra is on board to direct the film based on the Disney ride, with the Oscar-nominated screenwriter for Logan, Michael Green, penning the most recent draft. Johnson has said that the project is inspired by the African Queen, with shades of Indiana Jones mixed in. Jungle Cruise is scheduled to start shooting in May. The release date has not yet been determined. Perri, we just added Emily Blunt to a movie based on a ride at Disney World. What's that going to do for it?
So adding Emily Blunt bumps up my anticipation for this movie a big chunk, but The Commuter took it down a little bit because I really didn't like The Commuter very much.
And that was directed by Jon
Collet-Serra. It was, and the more I think about it, the more of a disappointment that movie was, because I liked him and Liam Neeson doing the same every X amount of years. I really enjoyed that formula, and then Commuter, it takes that really interesting concept and just drives it into the ground and complicates it. And there's so much there's one especially silly action sequence in that movie that I still can't get over when I picture it now. But Commuter aside, I do think that the Jungle Cruise becomes more and more promising every step of the way. I mean, look at these people that we're talking about. Again, taking the Commuter out of the equation, Jaume Collet-Serra has a pretty solid resume there and a pretty solid track record. We have the screenwriter, an Oscar nominee now, Michael Green from Logan. You have Dwayne Johnson, who is having monumental success with Jumanji. And then I look at Jumanji and I think about what I was thinking when they first announced Jumanji. There is no way that was going to work. And not just because I hold the 1995 original near and dear to my heart and they can't recreate that, but just the idea of doing some big, crazy action movies, like, I just kept picturing that as coming across as silly. And when I first heard about Jungle Cruise, I had the same vision for that. But the more I hear about this project, the more I'm thinking, this could actually be of a certain quality. And now that Emily Blunt is attached, that pretty much solidifies that script has to be of a certain level for her to jump in.
Yeah, and when you watch Jumanji or you see an ad for Jumanji, it looks like they could be selling us on Jungle Cruise too. I mean, a lot of it takes place in the jungle. It's the same garb as you would see in Indiana Jones or probably the Jungle Cruise, the ride for that matter. So adding Emily Blunt to it, very talented actress, Oscar caliber, also does a lot of great action work. The right choice?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't find an inauthentic performance in Emily Blunt. Even in the films that aren't good, she's good. Go to the 5-year engagement, which some people like, some people don't. I enjoyed it. She's fantastic in that. When any romance she does, you believe that she's in love with the person. Any film she does, you believe the character she's going through. So it's great. And we're going to see what her Mary Poppins is going to be like.
Right.
But she's establishing herself at Disney now, which is fantastic. They're smart to attack because Emily really appeals to a lot of people in many interesting ways. Now, they make the African Queen reference, which is interesting, and the Indiana Jones reference. So does this mean that we're going back in time? Because the Jungle Cruise is multiple rivers. Nobody travels rivers anymore unless you're doing a documentary for nature. So are we going to do that? And if we're going to do that, do we have Emily Blunt rock romance? Because the Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn romance wasn't really fully consummated. So what is this going to be? What's the concept? And I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah, but it's not like there's a Starbucks when you go to the Amazon River. Like, there's still rivers that are dangerous to
Sure, but people aren't traveling down those rivers. So, if we go back in time, then it makes sense that they're traveling down those rivers. What's the situation? I would like to, and I'd like to
Heart
see
of Darkness with it.
Yeah, and I'd like to see not hardcore, but I'd like to see The Rock do a period piece. That would be interesting. So, I love this idea. Plus, those two are probably going to have fantastic chemistry because they both can play serious and comedy sometimes within the same movie. And so, I look forward to it. And not every Power Rangers season was great, Perri. So
you always have to go there, don't you?
Jaume Collet-Serra's allowed one bad film. I think one bad film is all right.
Yeah, the Commuter's a tough one to get over. Jon Schnepp, do you like Rocha's idea about going back in time with this, or can we set it in the modern era?
It's not that I don't like it. I would just prefer it to be set in the modern era. I know the African Queen reference kind of triggered that. Yeah. For me, I thought, they're just using that as a chemistry where it's The Rock and Emily Blunt are not going to. It's so weird that we call him The Rock again. Is it Dwayne Johnson or now it's just The Rock? It's back to The Rock.
I got to see how they sell it in like on the Jumanji poster, it's just Dwayne Johnson. Then sometimes you see Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Other times you just say The Rock.
I don't mind calling him The Rock. I'm just saying it's
he's
we're
at The
flip-flopping.
Rock on Twitter. So
all right,
you can call him.
I'm going to call him The Rock. We live in this world now where I can't can't even fathom that I'm excited about seeing a movie based on a stupid ride, and now I am, and I'm like, I question myself and looking at myself in the mirror like, what happened to you, Schnepp? What the hell happened to you? Are you looking forward to Ridley Scott's Monopoly now? You go see the Tetris movie? That's where I'm at right now. Jungle Cruise. I'm buying a movie based on a stupid ride. Thanks, Disney. Yeah, get Emily Blunt, a great actress. Make me have to see it. I feel irritated and angry that now I'm looking forward to Jungle Cruise. Just going to be straight up and honest about it. It's like, yeah, and then mention a cool movie like African Queen. God.
All right, hey, look, if you are irritated and angry, don't worry, because right around the corner, yeah, kids, it's that time of year again. The annual Purge is back.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, 12-hour period. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's the premise of the movie franchise that just saw the release of its brand new poster. The First Purge comes out fittingly on July 4th. That there is the poster, and it does not leave a whole lot to the imagination as far as the movie's political leanings. It is the fourth film in the popular horror franchise. Began way back in 2013, The Dark Ages, with filmmaker James DeMonico's home invasion thriller with a twist. One night a year in America, all crime is legal, including murder. The premise was further twisted in the next two films. The First Purge is going to be a prequel, and it's going to show us how it all began, thence the name. This is the very first Purge. Perri Nemiroff, I want to start with you here. Obviously, we can see that this is making fun of the Donald Trump Make America Great Again hats.
Really?
Do you feel like this is too on the nose from a marketing standpoint that it's going to turn more people off than get people intrigued and into the theater?
To be honest, my first reaction to this was, "Wow, you're going there. That might be a bit much." But when I look at it from the standpoint of selling this movie, making a lot of money, getting butts in seats, controversy sells. Whether or not this poster isolates a chunk of the country, I imagine it will build more curiosity than it will turn people away completely. And really, that is what the Purge franchise has been about since the beginning. Maybe not to this extent, but it has embraced political controversy and just politics in general. So I did expect them to go in this direction to a degree, not to this extent, but that is pretty genius marketing, especially right during the State of the Union. And then have you seen that little video teaser too? I mean, that almost goes right to something that was said prior to the State of the Union. So I am leaning towards this being a smart move that, from a financial standpoint, is going to wind up making this movie more money.
Yeah, Perri Nemiroff thinks it might help it at the box office because you're making such an overt modern political statement. Do you agree with that, Rocha?
Absolutely. I'll say what Perri can't say because she's a little more, reserved and refined. I will say this is a blatant stab at people who believe in this. And this is believe in the red cats, believe in the Make America Great Again, all that stuff. Because if you look at that 30-second intro, it is a Southern voice talking about this America, red, white, and blue, and daddy.
Ain't nothing wrong with a Southern voice.
Nothing wrong, but it's that reference. It's the making the reference to the red state stuff. That's what they're doing. The baseball stuff, the planes flying with the red, white, and blue coming out in the smoke. It is an overt shot. And the guy, Gerald McMurray, he produced Fruitville Station, which is about exploring what happened to this young black man who got killed, unarmed black man who was killed by these cops, BART Transit cops, I think they were there. And then also he did this film called Burning Sands, which is about a pledgee who was torn between honoring his code of silence or standing up against the intensifying violence of underground hazing. So it's about undercutting these establishments. And I think that's what that's what this film is going to do. And it's doing it on purpose. Releasing right before the State of the Union, they are purposely going after a certain segment of society to mess with them. And like Perri said, controversy sells, and it seems like this is what they're doing here. And I mean, it's so overt. How can you deny it?
Yeah. Do you agree that it's that overt, Schnepp, or is this just a marketing gimmick to get us talking about the Purge? And then once the actual movie comes out, it's going to be a little less right in your face about the modern Republican versus Democrat debate.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, definitely triggered. That's exactly what. And it's like even Rocha's having a Southern accent. Look, just because you have a Southern accent means nothing. Blue, red, whatever. It's not. I don't think I'm gonna split states down the line or whatnot. But like say what you will about our world that we live in now. it's saying the Purge world, you got a bunch of dumbass criminals running the country. That's what the Purge is telling me, that when I've seen the other movies. So I feel like this is just taking that natural progression. If you're going to go back to the origin of the Purge, how did this horrible, stupid, frightening idea start with a bunch of criminal charlatans who somehow have tricked the American people in this world of the Purge is what I'm thinking. So hats off to you, Blumhouse, and all you triggered people. You know what you can do.
I mean, look, it's very interesting that they're doing this for two reasons. One is because it is such an overt modern political statement, but also because a lot of people, we see it on this show, they don't want to involve politics in their movies, which is interesting because so much of film is based in political, whether it's inspiration or whether it's a response to something political that happened. I do understand us wanting to go to a movie and escape, especially when you look at something like The Purge, where you can look at that and say, oh, wow, this could happen in our country one day, or you can just look at the first one as a fun horror movie, and look at the second one as a really cool action movie that feels like The Punisher. But if you take it a step further and you look at it, I'm just wondering from our fans, and I'd love to hear from you guys, do you want to see the movies like The Purge advertise and be this blatant about their political statement, or would you prefer if they held their cards closer to the vest? Doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, you can look at this from both sides and you can say that, okay, yes, they're using the MAGA hats because that's what's in power right now. This movie is less a commentary about the current GOP, and it's more just letting you know that whoever is in power, we can't exactly trust them because they might come up with an idea like The Purge, hence the First Purge, which is something that they test. And where are they testing it? I'm sorry to tell you, Perri. On Long Island.
That's not true. It's Staten Island.
Oh, it's Staten Island?
Yeah.
All right, it's one of the islands.
One of those islands.
Yeah, I'm not from New York. Does that bum you out, or are you excited that your hometown?
Staten Island is a lot more controllable,
Yeah, Staten Island is not my hometown. I've been to Staten Island, and I think it's a fine place, but...
Fine place to have a purge?
You got to take a ferry
well,
there.
in the story, it
Jungle
does
Cruise.
make sense to find an isolated place like that and to test it out there, but I also find it a little funny that this movie was called Purge the Island, and they're like, no, we can't go there. Let's just make it nice and simple and sell exactly what this movie is, and now it's called The First Purge.
But what I heard it was called The First Purge. It was a prequel. That's the thing that got me hooked on it, because I did not like the most recent Purge movie. I thought it was just way too overdone. They should have stuck with the formula that really worked in the second one. But then seeing where this idea came from and the determination of this idea, the how it was formulated, what it was actually designed to do, this is going to be very, very overt in its commentary. So prepare for that on July 4th, something I'm going to be excited to check out. Our next story involves a new trailer for Duncan Jones's Mute. The trailer debuted recently, and the movie is coming out on Netflix very soon. It stars a whole lot of people that you've probably heard of, not the least of which is Alexander Skarsgård as a man unable to speak. He's searching for his missing girlfriend in a futuristic Berlin. He crosses paths with a pair of United States Army surgeons, played by Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux, who have an agenda all their own. It was written by Duncan Jones and Michael Robert Johnson. The film is going to be available only on Netflix on February 23rd. Rocha, I know you've been excited about Mute for a long time.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of Duncan Jones's work.
I am.
Do you like what this trailer gave us, or do you think it left too much for us to question?
No, I love this, and it has obviously it's very much an homage to Blade Runner, but it also expands that world. And I'm a big fan of these kind of noir type things set in what seems modern times, but also technologically advanced times. And you've got the vibes, the colors. And I'm a sucker. Listen, I'm a sucker for those. I just met you. I fell in love with you so quick, but you're mysterious. I have to figure out what's going on here. I'm a sucker for those films because I've had those experiences. So I know what that's like. So I love this guy. And I love Skarsgård. And the fact that he's mute means he's got to communicate in different ways. And you got Paul Rudd doing this kind of a smarmy character, which you don't see Paul Rudd do a lot. But when he does, he usually is good at these things. And I love that Justin Theroux's in this as well. People loved him off Leftovers and enjoy his work there. So to me, it's a nice combination. And Duncan Jones, I love Moon. I love Source Code. Source Code, if you haven't seen it, give it a chance. It's great work by Jenna Hall and Vera Farmiga. It's a fantastic film. And the fact that he's creating a Duncanverse. Like they're all supposedly in the same universe. So this will be interesting if they find a way to connect them all at some future film down the road. But this has been going on for a while, and he wrote this before he wrote Moon. Yeah. So he has been working on this for quite some time. The trailer gets me super excited. Very much a noir, just like Blade Runner in the future. So this, along with Altered Carbon, Netflix has my attention all February. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it seems like Rocha really responded to the vibe that he got of this trailer. You do see a lot of Blade Runner and maybe Altered Carbon, which is something I haven't checked out yet on Netflix, in this trailer. Do you like that, Chef? Do you agree with Rocha?
Oh, full on. I mean, me and Rocha love Blade Runner. So for me, when I first heard about this, I loved Moon.
Yeah.
And then I remember reading, oh, I'm going to make this like I call it Moon adjacent because it's like, you know, I don't know, maybe source code adjacent. I don't really know, but like I guess Sam Rockwell is probably going to appear in Mute is my guess for like some scene or something. But yeah, seeing the trailer finally after I knew they shot this 2 years ago. So it's been in the can, been waiting for it to get released. I thought it would get released theatrically through an independent label. That it's on Netflix, I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy that they, you know, Netflix bought it, maybe helped finish financing, whatever they did. I know that it's a weird thing for Jones. He's been tweeting a lot about like, hey, my teaser and then the trailer and then the movie all happen in 1 month. Yeah. But I think for fans, especially of dystopian science fiction tales, like source code to me was like one extended Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, we win. February is like Altered Carbon. We've got Mute. I mean, I don't know. The trailer alone got me so jacked up. I was like, I can't wait. This is the kind of tale that I like. I love film noir. I love murder mysteries. I love thrillers. I love science fiction. Bring me. I'm there.
They're on board with it, Perri. How do you feel?
I'm definitely on board. I've been following Duncan Jones's quotes about this story when he was trying to make it a graphic novel at a point.
Yeah,
yep,
The
right.
whole road to basically making this movie that he cares so much about finally happened, and I'm really excited about it. I love the general concept of it, and I've liked everything he's teased about it. Maybe it's because I've been hearing about it for so long and I had such high hopes for this trailer, but the trailer didn't quite do it for me. I really did like the visuals and the atmosphere and the colors and all of that. But tonally, it felt a little off, but also tonally, it matches how he's described it with that weird sense of dark comedy to it. It's just in the context of this trailer, it didn't quite work. And I just also feel like the story wasn't very well presented in this, where there's some sort of hook, or I didn't walk away with some sort of attachment or feeling the need to root for Alexander Skarsgård's character just yet. But I was sold on this movie before the trailer came out anyway, so even though I'm lukewarm on this trailer, I'm still thrilled to see Mute.
Yeah, I'm with Perri. I was waiting for that thing or that scene to really hook me and really gather me. I mean, the movie looks beautiful. The production design is incredible. I'm a fan of Duncan Jones as well. But I saw these characters and I saw that there was a storyline that they were going for, and it looks like a kidnapping. He's got to go rescue her. But it just, where was the hook? Where did you see the hook in the story, or are you just excited about how the movie looks?
The hook for me was where the character played by Skarsgård meets those other two characters who seem to be on a separate mission, but it looks like they're on something where they end up either working together or fighting against each other. So for me, the setup was simply literally, you're in the future, there's this bartender, he has some connection with this gal that he barely knows, she gets kidnapped, he feels some kind of connection to try to help her, and then all of a sudden he gets into a world that you and him didn't know existed. So I feel like, to me, that's enough. And to me, it's like a teaser. I'm hooked already. Yeah. I don't want to know the rest of the story. That's just all I need.
Yeah. As soon as Skarsgård looks at the character of Nadira and he says, "I love you," and she says, "You don't know me," I was hooked.
All right.
Such a romantic.
Like a crusty record producer. I don't see a hook, kid. Where's that hook? I need a hit. It's got to be 2.5 minutes. We got one more story, then we will get on to mailbag and Twitter. You guys can tweet us anytime at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk, and we'll take a couple of them at the end of this very episode. Our last agree or disagree, I almost said the B word. Production is now officially underway on Blumhouse's new take on Halloween. Danny McBride and filmmaker David Gordon Green, who previously worked together on Pineapple Express and the HBO series Eastbound and Down and Vice Principals, wrote the screenplay, with Green directing the movie. Set to take place 40 years after the events of the first film. Production is now underway in South Carolina, and to celebrate, Jamie Lee Curtis, who reprises her role as Laurie Strode, tweeted out the first look at her character, inviting everyone to see the movie on October 19th, 2018. This is the first thing we've seen from the set. Perri, did it get your money already?
Yes, it did. It got my money well before this picture came out, but it's a nice picture to tease the start of production, especially if that's the original slate. That's a really cool thing. And then also, does that mean Dean Cundy is shooting this movie? Because that would really
that's the original
excite
slate.
me.
No, that's just
he is not. But is he not involved at all?
as far as I know, no.
That would have been such a cool thing that I was kind of holding on to being true, but I'm still really
well. Carpenter's not directing it either. So
well,
that's the slate.
That's true.
That's Jamie Lee Curtis's slate that they're letting
a
go.
fair
hanging
point,
around. He's
but
taking some phone calls.
They do have a lot of original people coming back to be involved in this one way or the other. Whether you're talking about Carpenter, obviously, Nick Castle, who played the original Michael Myers, he's going to come back in some capacity too. So all of that's really exciting. I mean, obviously, the idea of the same cinematographer too really got me pumped, but apparently that's not the case. But really, just everything that I'm hearing and seeing, and just knowing Blumhouse is involved, and I just love the team behind this. I love how fresh it could feel. So I'm really curious to see how this all pans out. I have a lot of faith in them, and you guys know how I feel about sneaky set paparazzi style photos. Well, someone on Instagram did snap a photo of Michael Myers on this set. And even though I despise those kinds of photos because I want to see what it's going to look like for real in the movie, it's so fun because you could barely make him out, and it's side by side. It could be side by side with like a close up, like distorted version of him. And for some reason, that just it's almost like bringing that character to real life for me, and I love that feeling.
Wow, your morals just go out the window when it comes to Halloween. Look, I'm excited about the movie. Like clearly Perri is. I don't care about this picture at all. I don't think this does anything for me. I mean, it's nice to know that she's on set and it's in production and all that, but I could care less about the picture. Maybe I'm just being a sourpuss though, Rocha.
Nope, I agree with you. The picture does nothing for me other than the fact that her hair is long again, like Laurie was in the first film.
There you go. That's really important.
So that's a good thing. I like to get that vibe going. She looks like I failed her art history class. She looks like she taught me an art history and I failed it. I hate the outfit. It's really boring. It does nothing for me.
I would fail any day from that picture.
Great. That's awesome. Can I have my opinion?
Teacher.
Can I have my opinion?
Absolutely not, Rocha. I'm going to cut you off.
Jesus.
Go ahead.
No, but I love the slate. What Perri brings, the slate is awesome. The slate is what the picture is worth it for. And of course, seeing Jamie Lee, we already knew she was in it though, so it's not a big deal. But the outfit is really weird to me. It just screams community college teacher. So it just bothers me.
She might be a community college. I don't know
it just bothers me a little bit.
Community colleges,
I want a little more for Laurie. I wanted a Harvard stuff. But all I'm saying is the slate. The slate is what gets me excited. The picture itself, it does nothing for me.
All right, go sit in the penalty box, you
I
fashion
shall.
queen. Okay, how do you feel about what Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing?
Right, because costumes don't matter.
I guess it's fine for me. That's not, I could care less either what she's wearing. I think it's great to see not only Jamie Lee Curtis, but Green holding that slate. That's kind of fun. It shows you, hey, we're going back to the basics. We went so far as to check out this slate. I think it's like the entire community that is making Halloween is trying to make a true sequel. I mean, I keep hearing things like, is it Halloween 1 or is it Halloween 2? I'm not that concerned about it. We're going to find out in 10 months what it is because it comes out this Halloween. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad that they brought Carpenter back to do a new score. So that's another reason they're kind of look at the slate. Here's Jamie Lee Curtis. She looks a lot like the original Laurie. You're right. She's got her long hair. I mean, this is a kind of behind-the-scenes photo that I like. It's obviously a posed photo. They're saying, look, we're shooting now. So I think, I agree with this picture.
Nice little announcement pick. We want to remind you guys to subscribe right here to Collider Video for all the latest content that we are putting up on a daily basis around these parts. Collider Scoreboard, that's been a fun series that has been fairly new to check out. You guys can look at our Black Panther version of it right now, as well as check out an all-new edition of Collider Heroes hosted by Mr. Jon Schnepp. That's going to be up on the channel later on today. Jedi Councils tomorrow, and a Schmodown Season 5 preview is also now up on Collider Video, so make sure you guys check that out. You can email us anytime, collidervideo@gmail.com, and occasionally we'll read one live on the air like what we're about to do with Rob's. Is it safe to say that at this point with the release of Ant-Man and the Wasp's trailer that Disney has no confidence in Solo? Ant-Man comes out 2 months after Solo, so seriously, where is the trailer? What are they waiting for if they do have confidence? Well, Rob, I think there's a lot of factors involved with this, and I would be very interested to be a fly on the wall at Lucasfilm and hear the decision-making process, because it could be they just want conversation about The Last Jedi, which has been a lot to die down. They want to build up excitement for Solo, or it's just whatever their marketing strategy is. I think that it's still too early to say they don't have confidence in the movie. Now, if we don't get anything before Black Panther is released, then I'm really hitting the panic button. But now I'm starting to suspect, and I'll go back on what I said a couple weeks ago, is that Disney generally does not like to put Star Wars in the midst of other movies, where that's why a lot of people think it might have a trailer during the Super Bowl, where I pushed back against that and said, well, no, they want to dominate the day. Now I'm starting to think there might be a different strategy. I'm starting to think that you are going to see something very, very little at the Super Bowl. I think you're going to see a little Han Solo teaser, a lot of the same way where a couple of years ago, remember when they had that Jason Bourne teaser during the Super Bowl? And like, I had a lot of people over to my house. We were watching the game, and when Jason Bourne punched that dude and he went down, we're like, oh man, it was a really cool quick shot, and that had us buzzing for the next 10 minutes. They can pull off something like that, then say, stay tuned on Tuesday when the full trailer hits the web. I like that marketing strategy. How do you feel, Rocha?
Yeah, I'm not panicking. I think it's more a matter of like, how are you going to keep it? Black Panther is like sweeping up and you're right. They had to wait for Last Jedi to download. I think they're really back on their heels a little bit. I don't think they anticipated the backlash that Last Jedi got. Yes, it made its money, made a lot of money, but I don't think they anticipated the online backlash that the film got, and they're kind of readjusting their strategy. Plus, you have to figure out the fact that Ron Howard came back and basically almost redirected the entire movie. So you've got to do time with doing the special effects. You got time with post stuff. You got to get all that scored away, because the last thing you want to do is rush a trailer out, have it crap the bed, and then people really jump on it and you affect your box office. So I'd rather them take their time, get the trailer right, release it maybe during the Super Bowl. That's fine, or release it maybe after the Super Bowl, after Black Panther comes out.
When do you start to panic?
I wouldn't. Honestly, I don't, because we're all going to go, so it doesn't matter.
Are we?
Yeah, I'm going to go at least, so it doesn't matter to me.
I mean,
I'm going to go.
$800 million less from The Force Awakens
but again,
to The Last Jedi.
There's many reasons for that.
You're not going to panic if we don't have a trailer by Black Panther, Perri.
No.
When do you start
March.
to panic?
I'm not panicking, but football joke, I feel just deflated.
Yeah.
Oh! Take that, Tom Brady. Take that, Tom Brady.
I've hit the point where it's bumming me out, because deep down I really did believe that we were going to have something by now, and yeah, I'm concerned, and I think I would be even more concerned if the issue was that they need to take their time making the right trailer right now, rather than them having the trailer and just strategically figuring out where to put it. Because if they are taking this long to find the right trailer, God help that final feature. I mean, really, all that matters is the quality of the final film, but this is stupid marketing. And if they release the first look of Han Solo during the Super Bowl, which is populated with who knows how many trailers vying for the spotlight, that makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And just, if you go back in the history of marketing, I don't think it bodes well for a film that hasn't released. We're not even just talking about a trailer right now. We haven't seen a single freaking thing from this movie, not even an official image. That's weird. That's really weird when we're 3 months out. And when you think about the value of marketing, because yes, I know everyone out there will say, oh, superheroes and Star Wars, that comes in with a guaranteed viewership. You don't have to market that like you do other things. But when you're talking about the difference between how much The Last Jedi made and how much The Force Awakens made, a strong marketing campaign could make the difference. I mean, look at what Deadpool did. Deadpool was going to attract an audience no matter what. There is no doubt in my mind that that campaign was so strong that it got more butts in seats, and that's part of the reason why it broke so many box office records.
Deadpool does not make half the money it made opening weekend if it doesn't have a kick-ass marketing campaign, one that we're still talking about today, and one that they'll use the playbook for when they advertise Deadpool 2. Jon Schnepp, when do we start thinking this movie's getting pushed back?
It's not getting pushed back. I'm going to say saturation, desaturation. I'm going to go back. Look, Empire Strikes Back made less money than Star Wars, and it had an incredible trailer. I remember going to see it, and I went to go to the movies just to see that trailer for The Empire Strikes Back. This is way back in the days before most of you were even born. I was alive watching Star Wars. That's right. Suck it.
Whoa.
So anyway, I have utmost confidence in Solo, and I actually believe in their unmarketing plan or demarketing plan, because guess what? You're right. People are still talking about Last Jedi. Now people are talking about Black Panther. I think the Super Bowl, you're going to see a tracking shot. Like maybe it's Lando walking along and going in one shot, walking into their fully built Millennium Falcon, walking through and getting into that cockpit and either Chewbacca's in there or Han Solo's in there and it just says Solo. That's the kind of marketing I want. I don't need to see a trailer. In fact, I'd be cool with them dropping a trailer. I'm not even joking. 2 weeks before the movie came out. Why? Because I'm still going to see the movie. And the less I know about Solo, the more excited I am about it. I trust Lawrence Kasdan. I trust Ron Howard. I trust that they're doing the right thing with this property. They're not going to screw around and make a shitty Solo movie. Sorry, I don't know why people are so bummed out that they don't have a trailer. Relax, you're going to see the movie.
You can understand the panic though, because this has never been part of their marketing.
I'm totally cool with that.
I mean, they start selling movies a year in advance.
I'm happy that I don't have to see a million shots of the thing that I'm going to see in the movie.
You are, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that still have no idea.
And they're all going to be happy when they see a trailer and keeping that anticipation. How many people have been crying about that Thanos moonshot? Guess what? You still haven't seen it. Why? Because you can't wait to see it. And even if somebody saw, like, well, say all of us were privy to some trailer to Solo, like we all saw it and be like, it's amazing. We talked about 3 scenes or something. You would all be filled with so much anticipation, just like you are now, perhaps filled with dread for no reason. I mean, I think it's like the anti-marketing is perfect.
Yeah, and I push back on this idea that, all these other trailers, majority of the world's going to care about the Star Wars trailer. Doesn't matter what anything else is trailer on Super Bowl day. It's about Star Wars. And if they do, and you know what the great way to do it, JT in the middle of his halftime Super Bowl show stops and plays the trailer. That would be awesome. Well, that's how you announce that damn crazy thing. It's nuts. It's going to be attached.
It's going to be attached to Star Wars.
And then when it happens,
it's going to be attached to Black Panther. Sorry. I mean, the whole Solo film trailer will be attached to Black Panther. So I feel like it's coming no matter what. It's gonna be here in 2 weeks. Whether or not it drops on Super Bowl, I think it'd be smarter to drop one scene in the Super Bowl and then you know that it's going to be released.
They're giving themselves by waiting. I do understand that from our perspective, we don't need a trailer to want to see that movie. But given the reaction to Last Jedi, and given the fact that with a movie of that scale, you need people to see it multiple times, and you need to expand beyond the Star Wars fan franchise that has been coming to these movies no matter what. You need to now do so much more damage control, because whether or not that final feature is amazing, and yeah, of course I still think there's a chance that it could really exceed expectations and shock everyone given all the production problems, but right now, it's almost like by waiting so long, they're creating more negativity and more concern. And now they're going to have to climb back from that.
I see where you're coming from, and maybe you're in the majority, but I fully disagree. I think it's going to flip. As a fan, you're going to flip when you see the first thing.
As a fan who's been looking forward to this movie since they announced it, it also feels a little bit like I'm being cheated. To be honest, I'm completely sick of talking about when am I going to see a Han Solo trailer. Enough is enough. Show me something. You have my dedication and investment, and
you guys are creating the drama,
though, Perri. I don't want.
I'm not talking about when am I going to see the Solo trailer. I'll see it when they. I don't care when they drop it.
But that's the thing. And Ron Howard had to step in and shoot way more than was anticipated. So I'd rather wait till.
See, we live in a society where everybody expects somebody to give me something like a year or 2 years before. It's like I don't care.
The non-Star Wars people.
Movie marketing.
I get it, but they're trying something different.
But the non-Star Wars people are the ones with issues.
Beyond movie marketing. Okay, when you look at all the news that has come out, that's stuff that 10, 15, 20 years ago, nobody would have ever known. I mean, stories like that do not get out back in the day like they do now. So it's true. Star Wars was not like overtly telling us, hey, we're having a lot of problems with Lord and Miller. Man, these dailies just do not look good. We need to bring in Ron Howard. That was announced officially in a press release, and Ron Howard would Instagram some photos of the set to get us excited. But there's a lot of conjecture about this movie, and it happens so much so that it becomes hard to separate fact from speculation. And I think that goes to Perri's point, too, is that we're talking about this ad nauseum because we haven't seen anything, and at some point, it is nice to just have the actual proof come out and say, oh, yeah, okay, this is coming out now. It's something to talk about. My gut feeling is that they're just testing this trailer, and some people at Lucasfilm, maybe all of them, have seen it, and they're just making sure that it is so tight that nobody can poke a hole in it. They're making sure that Alden Ehrenreich looks as much like and sounds as much like Han Solo as is humanly possible for him to do, that all the shots look great, that all the effects are finished. Now, if I'm saying that still after Black Panther comes out, we still haven't seen a Solo trailer, then I'm going to start to get real nervous, or at least think that they're pushing it back to May. But at this point, or to December, at this point, if they announce it's being pushed back to December, I think that's a bad move. I think that right now, you have to ride or die with that May 25th release date, regardless of how people react when the trailer comes out. I think you're going to see a little something at the Super Bowl.
I don't think we're not in a Justice League situation where it's like we have to have it come out November 17th. I think it's going to come out in May. I think we're going to see trailers for it. I think we live in a different culture now that like we're so used to seeing trailers. You forget that now when a trailer drops, 29 million people see it that day. A million websites are analyzing every frame. Like if you look at Rogue One, look at all the shots in Rogue One that aren't in the film. Like from a reshoot or this or that. I think they're probably like they were like, look, we're gonna make sure that all our special effects everything you're seeing in the movie is gonna be in the movie because it's 3 months away. So I'm not worried about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
Show's over.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're out of time to take your live Twitter questions, but it was a good debate. I mean, this is the fun of talking about movies, and maybe Disney should hold back that Solo trailer because it just gets all of us so up in arms.
Yeah, right.
Please, Disney, don't let them see it. Don't show it.
Revolution.
We need one shot. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank the very spunky panel here today. Let's do some quick plugs. John Rocha, where can the kids find you?
You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Please download the latest episode of the Top 10 Show. We count down the top 10 70s movies with writer, director, actor Wayne Fetterman. Very, very funny guy. Go see it go listen to it on Schmoes No podcast channel.
All right, Perri Nemiroff.
I am on Twitter and Instagram at P. Nemiroff.
And last but certainly not least, Jon Schnepp.
Yeah, you can find me waiting for that Solo trailer. Go to my Schnepp Zone channel on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram just at Jon Schnepp.
I am merely Mark Ellis. Thank you to our very hardworking production crew making us look good each and every morning. I am at Mark Ellis Live. You can get tickets to upcoming comedy shows, including Omaha and Portland at markellislive.com. We'll see you all tomorrow for a new edition of Collider Movie Talk.
Adam, stop shaking your head.
Omaha!
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.